I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Laws of 1975 of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the South River Board of Education was provided in the following manner. On December 6, 2019, the notice was delivered to the office of the South River Borough Clerk and posted at the Board of Education Administration Building. On December 6, 2019, the notice was faxed, mailed to the following newspapers: Home News Tribune, Sentinel. On December 6, 2019, the notice was posted at the South River Borough Clerk's office. Roll call.
Mr. Bezak?
Yes, here.
Mrs. Beck?
Here.
Mrs. Bush?
Here.
Mrs. Lell?
Here.
Mr. Nielsen?
Here.
Mr. Rosanno?
Here.
Mrs. Urbanic?
Here.
Ms. Cassiano?
Ms. Cassiano has been excused for this evening.
However, you
How
missed
about Mr.
John.
John?
And me also.
Budson.
Mr. Rushton?
Mr.
And
Budgeon,
Rashtar.
Mr.
In the new year, I'm
Rashatar.
out. I don't know.
Have a mulligan?
Yeah, I'll have to give Christina Mulligan. I'm not throwing her. Okay. My apologies, I just read off. Okay. Let's see who she missed now. Mr. Budson
Here.
and Mr. Rushtar?
Here.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Good here. Okay. Thank you. This is the time and place provided by statute for the installation of new board members and for the reorganization of the board and to transact several items of business. We appoint you now?
Sure.
At this time, we appoint our board secretary, Ken Kokoska, as the temporary chair.
Need a motion.
Nielsen.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen.
Second. Mrs. Bush.
Second by Ms. Bush. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, we will accept the election results of November the 5th. They're as listed. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts, comments on it? If not, can I get a motion to accept them?
Nielsen.
Beck.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen, second by Mrs. Beck. Again, any more comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. All right. Guess I should put this here somewhere. Installation of new board members. Let's see, alphabetical order we do it by. So I'm assuming that's Mr. Bezak. Mr. Bezak. Up to the center. Do you have anyone,
Yes,
Mr.
I do.
Bezak, with you? Very good.
Turn around, face the camera. There you go.
talking first, then.
Oh, okay.
My apologies. Okay. Mr. Bezak, we need somebody to hold the Bible. I ask that you raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Raymond Bezak.
Can we hear that? We're good? Okay. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true
and allegiance to the same
allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and this state
and this state,
under the authority of the people.
on the authority of the people, so help me God.
I state your name.
I, Raymond Bezak,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that I
swear
possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of member
for the office of member
of the Board of Education,
Board of Education,
and I am not disqualified
and I am not disqualified
as a further pursuant
as a pursuant
RS 19 /1, nor disqualified
or disqualified
due to conviction of a crime
due to conviction of a crime
or offense
or offense
listed in New Jersey statute
listed in New Jersey statute
18A 12-1.
12-1.
That I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties
justly perform all the duties
that that office according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. So,
Mr. Nielsen.
come on, Walt. It's my nephew. He's in from the United States Navy.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Young lady. Who wants to hold?
Do I go in
No,
there?
you stand
Nobody
there.
can video
You
her.
go there.
I, sir.
I-
Right here. Okay. Thank you. I state your name.
I, Kevin Nielsen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the
of
Constitution
the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Kevin John Nielsen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office
for the office
of Member of Board of Education,
as a member of the Board of Education,
and am I disqualified
and I am not
as
disqualified
a voter pursuant
as a voter pursuant
to RS
to RS
19 4-1,
4-1,
or disqualified
nor disqualified
for conviction of a crime
due to the conviction of a crime
or offense listed
or offense listed
in New Jersey statute
in New Jersey statute
18A
18A
12-1.
12-1.
And I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
justly perform all the duties of the office
and justly perform all the duties of the office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thanks, Ken.
Just sign this thing off.
Yeah, thanks.
And Mrs. Urbanek. Do we have someone to,
Boy, I found roaming around out there.
oh, we have a, Mr. Wailuda. Come on over. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Nice to see you again. What about our breakfast? How are you? How are you? Very good. I state your name.
I, Cynthia Urbanek,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the
of the
Constitution
United States
of the United
and the
States
Constitution
and the
of the
Constitution
State of New Jersey.
of the State of New Jersey,
And I will bear true faith
and I will bear true
and
faith
allegiance
and
to the
allegiance
same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United
and
States
this state
and this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people, so help me God.
State your name.
I, Cynthia Urbanek,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of
for the office of
Member of the Board of Education,
Member of the Board of Education,
and that I am not disqualified
and that I am not
as a
disqualified
voter pursuant
as a voter pursuant
RS
RS
19
19
4-1,
4-1,
nor disqualified
nor disqualified
due to a conviction
due to a
of
conviction
a crime
of a crime
or offense listed
or offense
in New
listed
Jersey statute
in New Jersey statutes
18A
18A
12-1,
12-1,
that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully
impartially,
and partially
and justly perform
and justly
all the
perform
duties of that office
all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'd like to accept a motion.
Wait.
Oh, no, my apologies, thank you, that's not on. All right, let's make sure I got the right one this time. Is everybody here? Okay. Mr. Bazak.
Here.
Mrs. Beck.
Here.
Mr. Budson.
Here.
Mrs. Bush.
Here.
Mrs. Lell.
Here.
Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Mr. Rosanno.
Here.
Mr. Rashitar. Here. Mrs. Urbanek.
Here.
Mrs. Cassiano. She's still excused.
Yes.
Okay. All right, this time I'd like to accept the motion to nomination of president.
I'd like to nominate Cindy Urbanek.
Okay, I have a motion from Mrs. Beck for Mrs. Urbanek. Do we need a second, Counselor?
You do not need a second.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Kevin Nielsen.
Okay. We have a motion by Mrs. Bush for Mr. Nielsen. We don't need a second. Do we have any other nominations? Seeing none, I will take a roll call on the first motion for Mrs. Urbanek as president. Okay, Mr. Bazak.
No.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Budson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
No.
Mrs. Lell?
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen?
No.
Mr. Rosanno?
Yes.
Mr. Rashatar?
No.
Mrs. Urbanek?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5? We're good, right, Mr.
That's the end of the process.
Okay.
We're on for a good thing.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
You're in charge.
Okay.
That's it. I got the same pay too.
Yeah. Okay, at this time, we would like to have nominations for the vice president,
I'd like to nominate Tony Rosanna.
and we do not need...
Renee Bush?
And we do not need a second?
You do not need a second. I decline my nomination. Thank you.
So we have a motion by Mrs. Beck for Mr. Rosanno, correct? We didn't-
Yes.
I'm
And I
sorry.
decline.
I'm waiting, but I also had a motion.
Ms.
For-
Bush.
For
Renee
Kevin
Bush.
for Renee.
Yeah, this is okay. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Cheryl Beck.
All right, so then, all right, now, Mr. Rosanno.
I'm
We're
sorry.
Any further nominations?
Are there any further nominations?
Now that Mr.
Nominations
now that
are
Mr.
closed.
now that Mr. Rosanno.
There'll be no roll call on Mr. Rosanno. You move on to the second nominee, which is Mrs. Bush.
I'm sorry, this is for Mrs. Bush?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, okay, okay. Mr. Bazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
No.
Mr. Budson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Lell?
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen?
Yes.
Mr. Rosanno, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Rashatar?
Yes.
Mrs. Urbanek?
No.
2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does she come up here?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Madam?
Oh, okay.
Okay, at this time, we do have a seated board. We have a president and a vice president. The next item on the agenda are remarks from the re-elected board members. Mr. Basak?
I just would like to thank the residents for having the confidence in me, for electing me for a second term. I look forward to working with the full board and administrators to continue to improve the South River School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nielsen?
I have to agree with Mr. Bazak. Thank you for the public for re-electing me again. And again, we will work with the whole board to continue to move the district forward as well as with the administrators. And thank you again, everybody, for your support. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. I would just like to thank God. I would like to thank my husband, and I would also like to thank everyone who did come out to the polls and support me and these other two fine gentlemen who were re-elected to this Board of Education. We have a lot of business to do, so let's get on with it. Thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to approve the pre-meeting and regular meeting dates and locations. All board members do have a copy of those dates. Do we need a motion?
But before I've got a couple questions about them, a couple comments more.
Well, can we get a motion? and then
Yeah,
we'll-
motion.
let's
Okay,
get a
motion, okay.
in a
Yep.
second, then we'll
That's right.
discuss.
So do we have a motion for these? meetings?
Nielsen.
Bush.
Motion by Nielsen, second by Ms. Bush. Are there any questions or comments or anything anybody
Yes.
wants to Sure.
And looking at the calendar, just a couple of notes. The March 26th date, it's also the high school talent show, so hopefully this ends early so we can go watch that. May 21st is the curriculum fair, which is great because it goes from that right into our board meeting, so we'll all be here. Then the two that I have questions on, August 27th, does anybody know if the town is doing end of summer fireworks? Because that would be either the day or the rain date. If not, it's something the liaison can find out on. Because it's normally the last weekend, and that's the last Thursday of the month. And then, do we have, back to school nights haven't been set for next school year yet, right? Because that would be the September dates.
No, the
'cause those
district
kinda-
calendar isn't set yet for 2021.
Those would be my questions, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. If there are no other questions or comments, all in favor? Aye. So moved. Thank you. Oh, I think that's the agenda. This gets turned over. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the appointment of the board committee chairpersons. Those appointments will remain as they were reestablished after we had several resignations from the board members. And just to read them as a matter of record, for athletics, extracurricular, that will be Mr. Budzen. Buildings and grounds, Ms. Beck. Finance, Ms. Lell. Instruction, Mr. Rosano. Negotiations will be Mrs. Urbanik. Human Resources, Mr. Nielsen. Policy and Legislation, Ms. Bush. Safety and Risk Management, Mr. Basak. School Community Relations, Mr. Rashitar. Council Board Committee Liaison, Mr. Nielsen. PTA Liaison, Ms. Beck. South River Public Library Liaison, Mr. Budzen. And the South River Foundation for Educational Excellence Liaison, Mr. Rashitar. Okay, did you want this? Okay, good. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Nielsen. We have an item on the agenda under Human Resources. Mr. Nielsen.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item. Approve, appoint Gretchen David middle school ESL teacher for the 2019-2020 school year. And that's it.
We have a motion?
Well, Bush.
Motion by Ms. Lowe. Do we need that?
I thought Mr. Nielsen would, since he was the chairperson. That's okay.
Okay, motion.
Okay, thank you,
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Nielsen.
Ms. Lowe becomes second.
Ms. Lowe
So I already
becomes
wrote it.
You already wrote it down.
So I
And
figured,
he's- and he's
I
writing
figured
in-
reading it was the motion, so.
And
I
he's
mean,
writing
not
in
that I
pen.
can't script, so.
And he's writing in pen.
But I just assume that you're.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Resolutions.
And the second,
Ms. Lowe?
Ms. Lowe. Okay. That's right. Ms. Roll call? Oh, any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Bazak?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Budson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Lell?
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen?
Yes.
Mr. Rosano?
Yes.
Mr. Rashitar?
Yes.
Mrs. Urbaniak?
Yes. Motion so carries. Okay, thank you. At this time, we will open up the meeting for reception of visitors. The guidelines for addressing the board is that the public may address any concern or comment that they have for the board. When you come to the microphone, please state your name and address, and please keep your comments to a 10-minute time limit. Anyone from the public wishing to come before the board at this time? First call, second call, third call. We'll move to close the public portion. I think so. If there is no other business to come before the board, actually, I would just like to make mention of Councilwoman Ballas, who is in our audience. Yesterday, she told me that she was appointed as the Borough Council liaison to the Board of Education. So whoever is on that committee.
We will
Mr.
look forward to meeting with her sometime in January. Okay? Thank you, Ms. Bell.
Great. Councilwoman Ballas, is there anything that, no, you're good? Okay. Okay, at this time, the board will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Nielsen?
Beck?
Motion by Mr. Nielsen, second by Ms. Beck. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Pass that down, please.